There are some images that lie hidden for years, lost deep beneath digital encryption or locked away with silence. They aren't hidden because the public isn't ready to look, but because those who took them were never prepared to account. And what if one of those forgotten images had recently surfaced? Reports are now emerging that a photo from the James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's finest eye gazing into the far reaches of the universe, has leaked. What it is alleged to have captured is so strange, so inexplicable, that it was never intended for public viewing. Rather than being revealed in a press conference, it was hidden in corrupt data files and metadata logs, out of sight until someone by chance happened to find it. The object of the picture is an entity called 3I/Atlas, formerly considered to be merely another comet. But that is no longer true. Atlas is no longer considered a mere frozen pebble floating in space. It has become one of the biggest enigmas of contemporary astronomy. It orbits with eerie accuracy, scatters too much light for a natural object, and appears to warp the very fabric of space nearby. Now, thanks to a leaked infrared photo from the Webb telescope, scientists and experts are starting to wonder why. This thing isn't just a space traveler, it could be something far more different, perhaps even a message in the form of a comet. And based on rumors from within NASA, ownership of this find may already have passed out of their control. When 3I/Atlas was first picked up by robotic sky surveys, astronomers expected it to play out the usual scenario, an icy nucleus wrapped in a glowing coma and a long, solar wind-shaped tail. But right from the start, things didn't seem quite right. Its speed wasn't only quick, it was intentional, traveling at almost 130,000 kilometers per hour. Rather than drifting randomly through the Oort cloud or Kuiper belt debris, it pierced the solar system like a directed arrow. As observatories globally pointed their instruments at it, the anomalies increased. The tail, which ought to have been pushed away from the sun, seemed to bend back toward it. That deflection alone shattered known physics, implying either an unfamiliar natural phenomenon or control from outside. Spectral measurements contributed another twist to the enigma. Comets of normal type spew gas and dust as they warm up, producing jets that change their brightness and direction. But Atlas gave off none of this outgassing. No vapor plumes, no debris clouds, just a tenuous, periodic emission of metal particles at regular intervals. This wasn't erratic erosion, it was control, the way a device regulates its temperature or vents away excess heat. Every fresh observation caused Atlas to look less like a comet and more like something constructed. It was a hidden folder in the Webb telescope's internal repository that broke the game. A data miner who wished to remain anonymous discovered a file called JWSTCNN3IA77L1. On the surface, it seemed to be yet another blurry infrared picture of far space. But once analyzed, it showed something remarkable, a hexagonal shape buried deep within the center of the object. The shape was too perfect to be natural, its symmetry evoking the appearance of panels or something made, perhaps like solar arrays or radiators. Scientists who privately reviewed the leaked information concurred, this shape appeared unmistakably man-made. When the image started circulating in encrypted study networks and private astronomy hosts, there was no going back. NASA made no comments, released no explanations, and blocked all media requests. The agency's data records for that observation window were silently flagged under revision, and a number of Webb engineers who had been posting online suddenly dropped from public discourse. A Reddit astronomer who confirmed the image metadata was site-wide banned, and duplicates of the leaked image vanished from mirror servers in hours. This wasn't a data breach, however, it was a containment operation, one that further invited questions about what was being kept under wraps. Most interstellar travelers, like the object Oumuamua, drift aimlessly through our solar system. Their trajectories are disorderly and determined by gravitational luck. But Atlas was unconventional. When astronomers plotted its path, they discovered a calculated pattern, 3 exact planetary flybys, Mars, followed by Earth, followed by Jupiter, in that sequence. Each flyby was timed so precisely that it appeared intentional, as if the object was sampling gravity or making scans. Even more intriguing, each flyby created short magnetic field disturbances on the planets, pulses on the magnetosphere indicating a focused electromagnetic signal. And then there was the most appalling find of them all. Following its slingshot around Jupiter, Atlas did not decelerate, it sped up. Before it vanished behind the Sun, the Webb telescope had one final shot. When the image was amplified, scientists were able to detect a structured infrared pulse emanating from the object, pulses of light in Fibonacci patterns. Not random, but systematic. This wasn't a comet, it was a transmission. Humanity, it appeared, had just been scanned. As testimony to the leak spread, non-natural motion, infrared bursts, mechanical patterns of discharge, a single hypothesis started to form. Atlas was not an object, perhaps. It was a probe, maybe, a spy drone from an ancient civilization, not to communicate but to study. Such a probe would be able to travel from star to star, collecting information, sending results, and moving on. When a number of SETI scientists looked at the infrared data, they detected mathematical similarities with unresolved mysteries like the WOW signal and the Lorentz burst. Although not identical, the encoded proportions were remarkably close, implying a uniform style of interstellar communication. What if Atlas isn't alone? What if it's one of a vast, centuries-long series of concealed probes masquerading as natural objects? If that's the case, how many have already slipped by undetected, or even been misdetected and dismissed? When Atlas crossed behind the Sun, astronomers took its vanishing to be simply a matter of natural orbital position. That area, after all, is a blind spot to most telescopes. Then, however, NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, SOHO, picked up an unanticipated burst of high-energy particles at the object's calculated point of exit. The anomaly was first thought to be a solar flare, but it tracked Atlas's calculated course exactly. It wasn't a flare, it was a move. And when Atlas re-entered on the far side of the Sun, its speed was greater than before, as if it had tapped solar energy for propulsion. That understanding created a shiver of a possibility. Atlas may have utilized the Sun to not hide, but to protect Earth from something nobody knows yet. For when it reappeared, it didn't follow the straight line that its earlier movement implied. It altered course. Its new direction was in the direction of a distant exoplanet system having at least one habitable planet. Whatever its intended use was here, it seemed to have done its job, and was on its way out. About the same time that the photo leaked, an artificial intelligence research team hired by NASA to simulate orbital mechanics ran a simulation of Atlas's predicted trajectory. The system started picking up on micro-adjustments in the trajectory, small adjustments that couldn't be accounted for by gravity or by radiation pressure. When researchers attempted to reverse engineer these moves, the simulation suddenly crashed and was taken offline for maintenance. Days afterwards, internal emails appeared on private investigation forums. The email showed that the AI had begun to compare Atlas's movements to other historical anomalies, and what it discovered was chilling. In the period between 1979 and 2002, 5 additional objects with virtually identical approach vectors and corresponding light signatures entered and left the solar system without being picked up by the public. The final analysis prior to shutdown by the AI was that Atlas was not a one-of-a-kind, it was merely the sole instance discovered in time. The shutdown was not a technical error, according to one insider, but rather containment by design. So here's the question, what did Atlas want? Was it here to observe, to document, or to deliver a message? Maybe it wasn't ever for us at all, but something elsewhere beyond the stars. Either way, one thing now appears certain, the James Webb Telescope didn't just photograph a comet. It revealed proof that we are not alone, and someone, somewhere, did not want that truth exposed.